Welcome once again to the official Colorado Sports Hall of Fame podcast. I'm Dave Plati.
And I'm Jim Saccomano, and we are your co-hosts. Between us, we have 88 years of experience working in media relations in Colorado sports. Myself with the Broncos, Dave with CU, and both of us with the Denver Bears AAA baseball team, along with several side experiences.
Now, this week, we continue our reveal of the 150 significant moments, including ranking the eventual top 50 in state of Colorado sports history, as we head into the state's 150th birthday this August 1st. That's the day Colorado was admitted to the Union as the 38th state in 1876. A select committee of 10 of us are picking with 275 years combined involved in covering or working in sports in the state of Colorado, are selecting those moments that we will eventually count down at the rate of 5 per week, which we're doing now, and then daily for the final top 10 at the end of July.
We've already covered numbers 150 through 141 in our last two podcasts. So this week, we are revealing the next 5. As we count down, all are cataloged on the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame website, along with all our podcasts. Go to coloradosports.org, click on the menu bar, and then top 150 moments or podcasts.
But first, we have been revisiting other moments in Colorado sports history in or around the date we release our podcast, those that aren't in the top 150. I have isolated now over 1,930 of these. It's going to lead to a book eventually, all listed chronologically by date that signifies their importance at the time. It's important we recognize moments from the past that have had significant impact on the state's sports scene.
On January 20th, 2024, we lost one of the state's true broadcasting icons, Larry Zimmer, who passed away at the age of 88. He had numerous assignments since he arrived in Colorado from Michigan in 1971, most notably calling CU football games for 42 years and over 20 years of basketball and 26 seasons of the Denver Broncos football team.
He obviously became known as voice of the Buffs, one of the longest guys to serve in that role. Although I felt that the Indiana guy last night calling the Hoosiers game was in his 53rd year, actually called the Hoosiers 1976 NCAA title, and he stuck around for 50 years to call the first win in football. So a lot of these radio guys get attached to their college team and do a great service by sticking with the teams for so long. But I know, Jim, you can say with me that we both miss Larry immensely.
Yes, tremendously. And, length of time isn't the only measure of the greatness of a guy. Some guys have done it longer than Larry, but for heaven's sakes, longer than 42 years, okay, God bless you. But he earned his spurs and then some.
He sure did. Okay, let's go back to January 19th, 1984. Mike Gray scored 19 points to lead Colorado State to a 63-51 win over number 5 Texas El Paso in Fort Collins. That's the highest ranked opponent CU has ever defeated to date in history. The teams were tied at 23 at halftime, but the Rams slowly pulled away in the second half, in the process ending UTEP's 15-game winning streak and dealing the Miners their first loss of the season.
Wow. Well, this is pertinent to this week. On January 19th, 2014, Denver jumped out to a 10-0 lead, and New England never had the ball again, trailing by just a single score, as the Broncos won their 7th AFC title with a 26-16 win over the Patriots in Denver. Peyton Manning threw touchdown passes to Jacob Tamme and Demaryius Thomas, with Matt Prater booting 4 field goals, including a 54-yarder, to enable the Broncos to return to their first Super Bowl in 15 years.
Now, you were saying Denver had a good record in home games and AFC title games?
Yes, 7-1, which is exceptional.
Well, let's see if we get to 8-1 this coming Sunday.
Right. Yeah, let's see.
Well, as good old Casey Kasem used to say in American Top 40, and now on with the countdown.
One of the greatest moments in Colorado sports history, number 140.
Okay, on November 1st, 1946, Arapahoe Basin is the first ski area after World War II to begin operations in the state. It bordered the Continental Divide with a summit elevation of 13,050 feet, one of the highest ski resorts in the world. The original cost was estimated at $150,000. It's amazing how stuff cost back then compared to now, which included 2 lifts, a rope tow, and trail lift tickets for the 46-47 ski season were just $1.25. A year later, it added the first chairlift and attendance soared over 12,000, 70,000 by the 61-62 season. $1.25 for a lift ticket. Imagine that.
One
Unbelievable.
of the greatest moments in Colorado sports history. Number 139.
On May 10th, 1967, in perhaps the greatest single game in state collegiate baseball history, Air Force Academy senior outfielder John McBroom had a career. That's right, a career in the Falcons' 38-7 win over Colorado College. He set what still stands as NCAA records as he batted 1,000, going 9 for 9, the most hits in a single game, and highest 1,000 average that a player could have without making an out. He scored 6 runs, had 12 RBI, 19 total bases, the latter 2 still Air Force Academy marks. He almost hit for the cycle twice. He hit 2 home runs with 1 triple, 3 doubles, and 4 singles. He would go on to become a flight instructor, among several accomplishments, retiring as a major general. That ain't too bad.
I don't know how many people go 9 for 9 in co-ed D-League softball.
No, that's pretty tough.
One of the greatest moments in Colorado sports history. Number 138.
This was one of my favorites I discovered by accident. On February 14th and 15th, 1912, the Winter Sports Club of Hot Sulphur Springs hosted the state's first Winter Sports Carnival that drew 8,000 spectators, with competitors included. The competitions included sledding, skating, cross-country skiing, and jumping. Norwegian transplant Carl Halson, who moved to the state a year earlier, was a star, winning the jumping event with a leap of 79 feet. Hot Sulphur Springs is halfway between Kremling and Granby, so it does beg the question in 1912, how did 8,000 people get there and where the heck did they stay?
Yeah.
One of the greatest moments in Colorado sports history. Number 137.
It was on February 8th, 1994. Though Denver lost the game to Utah, Nuggets forward Rodney Rogers accomplished a feat unmatched prior or since. He scored 9 points in as many seconds on 3 3-point field goals. He made the first from the top of the key with 29.4 seconds to play. Robert Pack stole the ball and fed it to him, and Rogers drilled the second from the same spot with 24.9 seconds on the clock. He then stole the inbounds pass himself and strutted to the 3-point line to the right baseline, on the right baseline, sank his third 3-pointer with 20.9 seconds to go. The crowd at McNichol Sports Arena went bananas, but Jeff Malone made the game winner for the Jazz with 12 seconds left for a 96-95 win. Rogers suffered a paralyzing accident in 2008 and passed away this past November at the age of 54.
And that highlights on YouTube if fans want to look it up, but it is crazy how it was just set up for him to make those three-pointers.
That's unreal.
One of the greatest moments in Colorado sports history. Number 136.
Well, it's the 30th anniversary of something happened this coming June. On June 16th, 1996, Father's Day, Steve Jones became the second Colorado high school alum and the second Colorado Buffalo to win the U.S. Open, as he turned in a 2-under par performance, 278 total at Oakland Hills Country Club in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, defeating Tom Lehman and Davis Love each by 1 stroke. The Yuma High School graduate battled it out over the back 9 with a 2, and all were tied at 2 under down the stretch. Love on the 18 green, and Jones and Lehman on the 18th tee. Love would three putt to take himself out of the race. Lehman hit a bad drive and would eventually bogey. So Jones hit his approach to within 12 feet and two putted for the win. The win wasn't a fluke. Only 51 subpar rounds were recorded over the 4 days, and Jones was the only player with three subpar rounds, all in the 60s. In the process, he became the first sectional qualifier to win the U.S. Open in 20 years, and just the second Coloradoan who attended both high school and college in the state to win the U.S. Open. The other, of course, being Hale Irwin. Eventually, another Coloradoan, Wyndham Clark, joined him, but he went to college out of state. And now to revisit that Father's Day Sunday from 30 years ago is 1966 U.S. Open champion and Yuma High School and University of Colorado graduate alum Steve Jones. Jonesy, welcome to our podcast.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. It's really interesting stuff you're digging up.
Digging up is actually the right word for a lot of this, I can tell you that. So. Well, we'd like to reminisce with you about that U.S. Open win. Now, you opened with a 4 over 74. You were tied for 84th, way down the line. And, actually at the probable cut line, I think they take the low 70 plus ties, if my memory serves. So you needed to rally. You did so. You shot a second round 66, matched only by Greg Norman, by the way, in the second lowest round of the whole event. You vaulted 79 spots into a tie for fifth. Aside from a big sigh of relief, what were your thoughts heading into the third round, now just two out of the lead?
Well, had a lot of thoughts. I knew I was going to play late. And in the U.S. Open, it seems like you're always teeing off about 2 o'clock, which normally, I like to be done by 2 o'clock. But that's the way it is on tour when you're towards the end of the last few groups. They put you at the end. And there's a lot of spike marks back then. We couldn't fix anything, and anything could happen. And I had a lot of confidence after Friday's round, 4 under. I didn't hit it that great on Saturday, but I putted really well, and then ended up hitting the ball and putting okay on Sunday. It worked out.
That's tremendous. Hale Irwin, at age 51, was lurking just 3 strokes behind you. He already was the oldest to ever win the Open at age 45 in 1990. 2 Buffaloes in the hunt. Wondering if you two spoke much that weekend, or the times you were in the same event, were you ever paired with Hale?
Yeah, I told Hale that week, I said, look, you've already got 3 of them. I need one, so just back off.
Seriously?
Well, something like that. But as I recall, he doesn't recall it. But no, it was. I didn't get to play with him too much. He was starting the Champions Tour, but he gave me a lot of good advice in the 80s and 90s, and even in the 70s. The first time I met him in 1977 at a Buff Classic clinic there at Boulder Country Club, and him and Dale. That's the first time I met him, and I was really impressed with him, and that probably helped my decision to go to Colorado.
Good to hear a couple of buffs helping you out there. Okay, so let's go to Saturday. Tom Lehman shoots the low round of the tournament with a 65, but you had a 69, and now you two are 1-2, 1 stroke separated between you, but there are 8 guys within 2 strokes of you. Hale dropped back to 8 behind, so he was kind of out at that point. But what were you thinking at that point? Now you're all of a sudden number 2. You're going to be in the final group. Nervous, attack mode, conservative, or just plain go for it?
Yeah, I'd have to say all of those. I mean, no doubt. Everything runs through your mind. Your body changes. You start swinging really weird. So I just had to take it one shot at a time and be confident that where I was at, because I was actually playing really well. I was hitting the ball good. And, kind of let the chips fall where they may. Had a couple of things happen earlier in the week that directed me towards the way I was playing. I used a little alignment board on the range so I wouldn't push when I swung through the ball. I wouldn't separate my arms from my body, and it kind of kept me get the club head going left. And so I didn't hook it as much, which was really a good thing out at Oakland Hills. I hit probably about like a 5 or 10 yard draw instead of a 15 or 20 yard draw. And that in the end is what really saved me, because like the last hole on the 72nd hole, I hit a perfect drive and use the same technique I was doing all week, and it just kind of fell into place.
And I think what people don't realize, you're also dealing with family because Bonnie and your kids were there, right?
Yeah, they were there and had we were staying with friends, probably 20 minutes away, and they had kids, so it's kind of worked out good. Kids don't understand; they're just playing and things, but they kind of keep you loose too, which was nice. And it was quite the experience, and get to dedicate the win to my dad on Father's Day. It was really cool.
That is so cool. You were 4 under through 12. Lehman and Love 2 back, but you created some separation. There are 40,000 plus fans following the leaders. What did you keep telling yourself down the stretch?
Oh wow! Just don't choke it. It was like don't mess up. But every time I was playing well and had confidence, I didn't really think too much about messing up. I just thought, hey, you're playing well. Let's go. Let's get this thing. And it's a lot of fun when things are going the right way. And I had parred the first 8 holes. I think I hit almost every fairway and every green, and just couldn't make a putt. And I hit a really, really great 3-iron from 220 yards on number 9, and made birdie there. And then I made birdie at 10, and then I made birdie at 12, and that put me 2 shots ahead. But yeah, it was exciting. I wish I hadn't bogeyed 13 and 17, but it came down to 3 of us were tied on 18, and at that point I felt real relaxed, kind of like a playoff. Every time I've been in a playoff, I feel like I'm real relaxed. Because what can go wrong? Worst you can do is finish second. That's pretty good. So hit a good tee shot, good 7-iron second shot, and lipped out the birdie. Even though the one camera view they had back then, my body was in the way. They didn't show it how it lipped out. But yeah, that was my most stressful 18-inch putt I've ever had. I think to knock that in to win. It was one of the biggest cuts in the U.S. Open history. Like 112 or 16 people made the cut because of the 10-shot rule. And so back then, everybody's wearing spikes, and I had that 18-inch putt from below the hole, which everybody had been walking on. I didn't even want to think about it. I just got up and I said, "Cy can make it. Cy can make it." And that's my son. It's spelled C-Y. And at the time, he was 5 years old. I said, he could make this putt. And that's all I was thinking about when I was stroking it. And fortunately, it went in, because if you miss that one, things wouldn't look too good, for the rest of your career.
So the way things played out, you knew you had to 2-putt. So mentally, when you're taking that 12-foot putt, are you thinking, don't send it way past, don't hit it too hard? But we've all been in that situation where you stub it and you hit it short. So in your mind, what did you want to do with that first putt?
Yeah, well, it was straight downhill, and it was really, really, really fast. I mean, it was rolling like a 40, and it was just a little tap, and it just kept going. And I thought I made it, and it lipped out on the left side. And Tom still had like a 10-footer for par. So when he missed it, then I knew, I got to make this putt to win. But yeah, you gotta keep your head on straight, because when I was walking up on the green to mark my ball, a guy yelled out, "The cup is yours. The cup is yours." And I'm like, no, that's the last thing I wanted to hear. So it kind of woke me up like, no, I got to concentrate on this putt, finish the job, because it's like, yeah, the cup's mine. Then I four jacket or something, then you're like, wow, you just can't, start giving your acceptance speech on the green before you're finished.
No, you can never do the speech till it's over. Irwin, by the way, the line 10 over. Did you see him afterwards?
Yeah, I don't know when I saw Hale after that. Everything was kind of a blur for me, but he's always given me good advice, and he was happy for me. And I appreciate all the wisdom he's given me throughout the years on the PGA Tour.
So I think you remember this. I got with Coach Simpson after we were obviously in the hunt on the Saturday. We were toying around with flying there, and me and Mark were like going, if Steve looks over and sees us in the gallery, that might just blow it for him. So we don't want to surprise him. But Bonnie invited us to that little barbecue he had to finally celebrate the win in August. And I think it was on the Tuesday before our opener against Washington State. So, we flew down on separate planes. But I remember walking into your house and you were walking by and you look at me and go, "Hey, Dave." And you kept walking. And then you stopped and you go, "Plati, what are you doing here?"
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a fun time to get a lot of people together. A great story with Mark Simpson, my golf coach. In 1988, I'm like in third place or something, playing in the last group with Craig Stadler and Bernard Langer at Pebble Beach. And I got about 5 minutes before I tee off, so I'm putting a few putts on the putting green. I look up and there's Simpson right there looking at me, and I walk over. I says, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I came to see your first win." And I got my first win with a playoff with Bob Tway when I birdied 17. And it was just one of the most special moments I've had with Mark Simpson. It was really, really cool.
Now, people don't remember Mark probably now. He died 21 years ago from lung cancer, but, he's a Colorado guy growing up on the other corner of the state in Durango. How did he find a kid from Yuma to come to see you?
Hmm.
Well, in the golfing world, everybody kind of knows who the best golfers in the state are and all of that. And I think I was probably a top 5 junior at the time. And I think when I got in the semifinals in 76 for the USGA juniors up at Haiwan, and I was the last Colorado guy left, and I lost in the semifinals. You got a lot of publicity, and that gave me a lot of confidence, and I got on the radar of a few people. None of the schools like Arizona State or USC or anything like that, but it was really, I was fortunate to go to Colorado, and I was so thankful. Back then, they gave me a full ride scholarship, and it was worth $5,000.
Hmm.
And so I stayed in state 3 hours from my home in Yuma. It kind of worked out better than I realized, and it also kind of helped my career when I can't play golf year round. I could only play a certain amount of months, and that usually December through February, 3 or 4 months there, you're not playing golf. So I think that gave me a little bit of reprieve and kept me hungry for the game. So you don't always have to play year round in something, because when I came back to golf by March, in spring golf in Colorado, you're really hungry, even though you're not playing very well. But it kept me hungry, and my attitude was good, and I wanted to play as best I can and could the rest of the year. So that was really fortunate, something I didn't think about at the time.
Steve, do you
Oops, I'm sorry, Jim. You split your time between Scottsdale or Phoenix area and Montana. How often do you get back to Yuma, and is the sign still up?
Yeah, they had one of my original sponsors from 1981, Jim Vincent. He owned Shopall, which was our main store in town. He put up a sign, "Boyhood Home of Steve Jones," when you drive into Yuma. And it was up for about, I'd say, a good 15, maybe even 20 years. And then it started getting worn out. And then Jim died shortly after that. So the last 15 years, it hasn't been up. And it was really special that he would do that for me. And I get back to Yuma
I was
probably.
driving to a wedding. Fortunately, I was able to snap a picture of it, so I would keep it in our media guide.
Steve,
Yeah, I love it.
do you ever sort of pinch yourself? You're from Yuma, Colorado. The last thing in the world is you're thinking you're going to win the U.S. Open, but you do. It's an amazing thing. It's amazing that we have this guy on with us now. Do you ever pinch yourself and say, "Golly, I really did that"?
Well, it really comes back to God gives you the desires of your heart. And my desire as a kid was I wanted to win the U.S. Open. That was the biggest tournament in the 70s when I started playing golf in 1970 in Yuma. And we would always play games. Me and this guy, he'll have the British Open, he'll have the Masters, and I always had the U.S. Open because I thought that was the hardest tournament to win. The way they had it set up when Hale Irwin won at Winged Foot, and to be able to even play golf, which I told my parents I would really like to capture that look on their face when I was 12 and 13, watching the Hawaiian Open on TV when we had snow outside, telling them, that's what I want to do right there. I want to play on the PGA Tour. I'm going to win the U.S. Open. I'd love to see that expression on their face. But my parents were great. All 6 of us boys, they were very confident, very positive towards us, and treated us all the same. And that had a lot to do with me being a success when I was able to play golf, even though I had a lot of injuries. But, I thank God how he changed my life and got me the direction going that I needed to go, and gave me that U.S. Open. It was just amazing.
Good for you, Steve. Good for you.
Now, through the years, you've been really good about staying loyal to the program, donating, and also donating your time, doing some lessons and clinics and times. But you still follow the team pretty closely, from what I know, obviously. And I know Coach Roy Edwards and the players appreciate it when you come back and do things and spend time with the team, or when you catch up to them on the road.
Yeah, sometimes our schedules don't fit. But Roy Edwards, I think, is doing a great job. They got a lot of good talent the last 10 or 15 years on that team. And he's only the 3rd golf coach in the history of Colorado, which is crazy when you think about it, this day and age. But
yep.
I get excited watching their scores, and knowing how in the wintertime, how tough it can be to keep your game going. And, for the Buffs to finish 8th or 10th, that's really good when you're not playing. So people don't realize a lot of the schools that Colorado plays against, they're year-round golfers. At Colorado, you don't get to do that. So it's really exciting for me to watch them, and once in a while get to meet the new players and watch them hit it. And boy, I tell you, those young kids can hit it.
And they're all like 5'6" and 130 pounds. Anything else for Steve, Jim?
No, I think it's an honor to have him on, frankly.
Well, it's been an honor to talk to you guys, and I appreciate everything, and keep up that good work.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to join us on this early Tuesday morning, and hopefully you can get to your auction. I know you were going somewhere to look at some old cars or something for your ranch, right?
I wish. It's mostly just looking at the eye candy of the cars, the classic cars out the Barrett Jackson auto auction. I'm going to head out there for a couple of days. It's not too far away from where I live, so it'll be fun to see what they got out there. It seems like they make their rotation. They bring out this car. Oh yeah, that car was sold a year ago or 2 years ago. And guys get tired of it, and then they sell it, buy something else, and the auctioneers are the only ones that make the money.
Well, thanks you for taking the time to join us. Say hello to your bride for me, and we'll catch up with you in the future.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks. All the best.
Well, everyone, we hope you're enjoying our podcast. Keep spreading the word. We want to thank our main sponsor, Pasta J's of Boulder, located at 10th and Pearl, just west of the Pearl Street Mall. And Tim Simmons' famous Colorado Collegiate Chronicle, an in-depth look weekly at college sports in and around the state of Colorado. And Tim's a veteran state PR man, as many of you know. And we have to thank the voice of the Buffaloes, Mark Johnson, for introducing each moment's number.
That's a wrap on our 12th podcast. Tune in next week for the next reveal of the state's top 150 moments. We hope that you are enjoying our reminiscing with our Colorado Sports Hall of Fame guests, as well as our trips down memory lane in the state's sports history. A reminder that the Hall offers tours of its museum, as well as Empower Field at Mile High Stadium, and that the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame class for 2026 will be inducted this coming April 16th at the Hilton City Center in downtown Denver.
And we forgot to mention that Steve Jones was inducted into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame in his 2013 class. So need to mention that.
That's right. He was.